Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson has joined us in the Infield Media Center. Can you guys hear me? Is this mic clear? Everybody good on my audio? Okay. Jimmie, of course, is our reigning and four-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, and he joins us today with 4 wins, I believe, at Dover. Am I correct? At 2 sweeps, or is it 5?
I see a 5.
A 5? Okay, it's a 5.
Hopefully
5
6.
wins at Dover, and that includes 2 sweeps last year and 02, his rookie season. So you know this place pretty well.
Yeah, it's been a great track for me over the years. When I think back to my first time driving at the track was in the ASA series, and I think 98, 99, somewhere in there, probably 98. Loved the track when I came here, and still today, it's one of the tracks that really challenges the drivers in a lot of ways. From the entry and the approach into the corner, you're at one altitude kind of, and you fall 2 or 3 stories off into the corner and then have to climb back up that hill on corner exit. Makes for a fun lap, and I guess kind of reminds me of my off-road racing days a little bit. So I really enjoy this racetrack.
Questions for Jimmie? We'll start with Steve, and then I see a hand in the background.
Steve Richards with PRN. Obviously, your friendship with Brian. Can you talk about your concern for Brian Vickers?
Yeah, certainly concerned for him. And I think that it's so new that they're still learning and trying to understand, exactly what's going on with him. But I spoke with him. He's in good spirits, and certainly hope that, get to the bottom of things and get him healed up and back in the race car as soon as possible.
Hi, Jimmie.
Perfect. I from when I spoke to him last night, there were still a lot of question marks and concerns, and trying to just understand what in the world's going on. So until they can find out what's going on, there's a lot of worry and concern. And it's weird. You talk to a guy. I talked to him on the phone, and he's just happy, and not necessarily happy about being out of the car, but healthy and sounds fine and normal. But there's obviously something going on.
Go ahead in the back.
Hi, Jimmie. Mike Lewis with the State News. We're about a third of the way through the season.
You're going to speak up just a little bit.
We're about a third of the way through the season now. Do you think the fan friendly measures that NASCAR did this year, the green-white checkers extended, have worked so far? And is there anything about those type of things that has surprised you?
Yeah, I think that it's been some good changes, good compromise with the green-white checkers. I haven't had one really bite me yet. I know that there are a few drivers that were in position, and then caution came out, and it kind of works against the situation they were in. But we all knew it coming into it that it would change the game some. I think it's made the finishes less predictable. Strategy has changed quite a bit from what we've seen in the past, and 4-tire stops are paying off at tracks that you never ever would have even pitted before. So it's been a much different few races, third of the race, whatever it's been, a third of the season so far. And I think it's added excitement. And at the end of the day, we need to really find that compromise of what upholds the integrity and the competition on track, and then also keeps the fans engaged in tuning in and sitting in the grandstands.
We'll go Caravello and then Newton.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. Jimmie, a question and a follow-up. First of all, it's been, I think, 6 races since the spoiler was introduced, and some people really thought it was going to be a game changer and there was going to be a pre-spoiler and a post-spoiler season. Can you see any marked differences in terms of how you drive the car now in terms of before, or how the car's set up now before? I mean, has it had that much of an impact in terms of the way you do your daily business here?
Yeah, for us, I can't say that it's really changed much, and I know that there's been some conversation that maybe HMS or the 48 team has had some troubles with the spoiler being on the car, and I can't say that it's changed much for us. And when I look at the start of the year, we didn't have the dominant car, but we were able to close the deal and win 3 races. And since the spoiler came along, we've kind of been in that same situation. We've been competitive. If we've been on track and running, I think our worst finish has been 10th. And if you look at the tracks that we've come through, we've almost won at Texas. Phoenix, we had a great chance of winning. And so there's a lot of hope in there when you're sitting in our position that we're not where we want to be, but we're still awfully competitive and not as worried or concerned as some of the headlines may read and some of the speculation that might be out there. But the sport's ever changing. The spoiler definitely does change it some. I think it changes it more in traffic when you're driving through traffic. The car is less stable. There's less available air. But in general, I think it's been pretty much the same across the board. I've been really not necessarily surprised, but very impressed with the work NASCAR put into this beforehand to meet side forces and downforce numbers, and did a good job of making the car very consistent.
Newton?
Yeah, Jimmy, David Newton, ESPN.com. It seemed that the fans kind of relished your lack of the DNFs you've had 2 of the last 3 weeks. Are you aware of that? You feel like they're trying to say they're tired of seeing the 48 win all the time and enjoying seeing some others win? And to follow that up, too, do you think with Joe Gibbs Racing winning, 4 of the last 6, they've kind of closed the gap on Hendrick?
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with some of the things that may have been said about us having some DNFs. Last weekend, I was in 4 wrecks before the 4th one finally took me out of commission, and we were done. So it was just a wild night, and I know Harvick joked around at California that we have a horseshoe implanted in a certain area. Well, that horseshoe fell out before the race started on Sunday last week, because I've never been in 4 wrecks and then have a guy with no brakes come in and T-bone me from the side. So and it changes. We've been saying this all along, even with the 48 car being at the top of its game. This stuff doesn't last forever, and the garage area gets smarter. Teams, drivers, everyone is developing, trying to make their equipment faster and better, and we're not where we want to be right now. We're still very competitive, and as I said earlier, not at a point where some of the headlines may read that we're not competitive, we're not in this thing, but we've got a little work to do. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the 3 races we won this year, we weren't the dominant car, but we got the job done. So the way I look at it, our pit stops are better than they've ever been. Chad and I are working great together. We're trying to find some new speed for our race cars, and it just takes a little bit of work. And where we're sitting now, second in the points, is far better than some seasons we've gotten off to. And there's still a lot of racing left, and we'll be fine.
Jeff?
Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. Jimmy, you kind of partially answered my question, but I wanted to ask you about the 43 car last week. Anything similar to that ever happened in your career? And I'm sure you've seen the replay. But how surprised were you that you kind of got blindsided?
Yeah, I've never been in a position like that where a car just came in. I mean, I guess on some road courses things take place and you get hit unexpectedly from behind, but I've never had a car without brakes just hit me and not even know what was going on. So I'm sure it was an uncomfortable ride for AJ, knowing he was going to hit someone or something. And then for myself, I knew the caution was out, and I rolled into the corner, getting ready to talk on the radio to chat about what we needed for adjustments. And at the last second, I saw a flash of green. And then before I knew it, I was trying to gather my thoughts and my breath and get the car out of the way and off the racetrack because, he slid right up in there.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. There was some reference this week about you and Chad and the radio and stress between you two or whatever, which would seem natural because you guys have weathered all kinds of storms. But is there any more stress than normal, or is that just part of the deal?
No, it's just part of it. I mean, if people that have listened to 48 over the years know that there's very heated moments and then there's happy moments. It's just part of any race team, and certainly the 48. We're not immune to the emotion that takes place during the course of a race. So it's same stuff, and I think we're doing a much better job at dealing with adversity this year, today, in general, than we have from the start of our career, and even last year. So, we'll make it colorful from time to time.
What else for Jimmy? Anything else? I don't think so. Jimmy, thank you. Good luck this weekend.